Hey Houseplant friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to tell you my new and improved 2021 houseplant wish list featuring plants that you have probably never heard of. Plants that you will be adding to your wish lists by the time that I'm through with this list. Also, I'm gonna be fixing my hoodie this entire time because I was like, oh, it's so cute when like girls wear hoodies like half back on their head. It's adorable. Okay, but before we jump into today's video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Maybe you've been binge watching my videos and you just forgot to hit that subscribe button. Welcome to the community, and I hope that you're having a great day. I hope you're having an amazing day. YouTube memberships will be a thing soon, I promise. They have to be, obviously, because we're jumping back into everything in January. You ready? You ready to see what's on my wish list? I have divided up everything into very specific categories, so there will be a Philodendron category, an Anthurium category, and categories after that. This is gonna be a long video, so strap yourselves in to see the plants that I'm hoping to add to my collection in 2021. So we are gonna start with the Philodendron category, which, as you should know, I'm just gonna give you 3 seconds to guess what Philodendron I'm hoping to finally add to my collection next year. I'll wait. The Philodendron Spiritus Sancti, yes, of course. This is a house plant that I would die to own. Well, I wouldn't die to own, but I would do a lot to own it, especially in order to make sure that I'm finding one that has been ethically grown. I will not be buying any from any place where they could have possibly been poached. One of the last remaining Sanctis in the... Sorry, I just clicked my pen all through that. I'm so sorry. The last thing you want to do is poach one of the most endangered philodendron species. So I am hoping that I might be able to trade next year. If not next year, then the year after. But yeah, I would love to own a Spiritus Sancti. I think that they're beautiful. The reason I love Aurea so much is because they really seem like they are Spiritus Sanctis, but like ones that I can afford. And they have red backs, which is really cool. I mean, not the Spiritus Sanctis, but the Aurea. The next philodendron on my list is a variegated pedatum. Something that you might not know is that you have your Florida Beauties. I'm gonna stop clicking that. I'm just gonna throw that over there. Sorry. Florida Beauties. They're variegated Floridas. They're cross. Well, then there's the pedatum, which is a Philodendron pedatum, but it's variegated and it is amazing. And they are usually more sectoral in variegation, and I think they look really fun, and I would love to have one. However, they're like way more expensive, so. The next plant on my list is a billieti, a variegated billieti, and this one is probably the top of my list. I do think that this is achievable next year, especially through trade. That is what I am really gonna be gung-ho for, because this one that I'm showing you right now is my friend. She owns it and she lives in Germany, I believe. And she is the most beautiful one I've ever seen in my life. Literally, it's so beautiful. So I would really love to have one, especially since billietis are like probably my 3rd or 4th favorite philodendron, because it goes Ilsamanii, right? Sancti, Aurea Billeti. The last philodendron on my list is the variegated Philodendron Micans. Oh my gosh, I don't know if this is doable. I've only seen like 2 people have them. It's like a new thing. I do know that there are some people that are trying to turn Micans pink, and that is them putting pink hormone like the Congo into Micans and just making a pink Micans. That is not what I'm talking about. If you look at the screen, if you're listening to me right now while you're doing chores, take a second, pull yourself away, look at this plant. Excuse me, I need it. I need it so bad. The second I saw it, I added it to my wish list. It was floating around the plant community Instagram like a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Oh my God. All right, we are steadily moving into the Anthurium category, in which there are 2 Anthuriums that I would love to get in 2021. I really only think one of them is possible. The other one I do not have enough money for, and I would not trade for one. The Anthurium Wendlingeri is the first one on my list, and that is because I love pendant Anthuriums, belt Anthuriums, whatever the heck you want to call them, except this one is velvet. It is a velvet pendant Anthurium, so it's like the Vitarifolium, but like 1,000 times better, and its inflorescence grows in a corkscrew. This has been on my wish list since I started collecting plants. In fact, it was the first Anthurium besides the Walliniana that I ever really fell in love with, and it has still eluded me, and that's mostly because last year and then kind of this year, they're very hard to get, but people are starting to sell seedlings. A couple of months ago, I did have an opportunity to buy one from my friend, but it was just too expensive. Bills are more important than plants, unfortunately, according to our government. And I'd rather live in a country where plants are considered currency, because think I do really well there. But yes, unfortunately, I couldn't swing it. It sat there for 2 weeks and I watched it sit there and then someone bought it and I'm so sad. The next Anthurium on my list is the Papillilaminem, I believe is how you pronounce it, but honestly most people just call it a poppy, and I would like a pure poppy, please. No hybrids for me, only because the pure poppy is honestly where it's at. It's very specific leaf shape and color are what I'm after, and it's very hard to make sure that you have a certified pure poppy because they sell for for an adult plant with nice big leaves, probably anywhere from maybe $1,000 if you find a nice seller, to like up to $4,000 if it got auctioned. And that's because pure poppies are just so hard to find because it's so hard to prove that they are pure. If you bought a poppy and it was cheap and you bought it this year or halfway through last year, I would question whether or not it is an actual true poppy. All right, we are going to move on to Hoya. So the first Hoya on this list is very important to me. This is a Hoya that I need. I do not know when I will get it because I feel like with philodendrons and anthuriums and the other genuses that I really love, I just feel like there's more of an immediate need to get them, where for some reason with Hoya, I feel like waiting to get them until it's right is just easier. And I feel like it's harder to wait for anthuriums, philodendrons, begonias, whatever, because it's like, oh my god, the price could go up any second. But I feel like Hoyas are pretty stable, and it's pretty easy to trade for Hoyas because there's a lot of Hoyas and not everyone is able to get access to the Hoyas that you have, so you can make the right trade easily. I've made a couple awesome Hoya trades. I want a Clemensorium. EPC 446 is its actual name. This guy is a beast. He looks amazing. Amazing. They sun stress so well. They're massive. It's basically like a huge Hoya calistophylla, like mixed with cow dung, mixed with Gnung Gading. Like, it's just so amazing. And I think that it just really blew up the houseplant Hoya section like this year. Especially like this week and like kind of the last month, it's been a pretty popular plant I've seen fly around. Not for sale, by the way. I've just seen people like flash theirs off, like, oh, I have it. Okay, the next Hoya on our list is actually Hoya Gnung Gading, and this is, or Gnung Gading, I don't know if you say the G. My friend Chloe, who is planted in Provo, has one, and I saw it in person and I've loved it ever since. It's one of the Hoyas that has always been on my wish list, but it's just not possible to get. It's really hard to find. They're expensive, and I don't really have anything to trade for one. So the next Hoya on this list is Hoya Kumara, and this one is very similar to the Enduaensis, except they're a little smaller and a little curlier and a little wackier and a lot funner. That is a plant that I know I will get because I've seen a ton of them go for sale on Etsy and eBay, and I've just never pulled the trigger because I'm like, oh, I'll get it later. I don't know, I just said, like with Hoya, I feel like I like procrastinate getting the ones I want. The next Hoya on my list is easy. I know that this is doable next year. It's Hoya Serpens. It's the one that I really want that I don't have, and it's because they look like little pimple pads. Like, they look like you put them on your acne and then it sucks the stuff out and then you take it off. Like, you know those clear ones you can buy? They're like these little clear ones. They got these little fibers on them. Like, that's what it reminds me of, and I really want to touch it. I just want to know what it feels like. that's why. The next Hoya on my list is a big one for me. I need an Undulata now, please. And the last one on my list for Hoya is Hoya Walliniana Var, and I need her. She's very similar to the Houseplant Var, except think like Hoya lacunosa leaves, but so variegated with like pink and yellow and orange and purple, like just like rainbow leaves like this pot. I just think that they're so beautiful and wonderful, and I think that they look like rainbows and they make me as happy as, I don't know, give me reverse variegated Hoya. I think that's just what I like. If it's not thick and green and veiny, I need it to be reverse variegated. Okay, let's move on to Monstera. A little bonus Homolomena, just because I don't have anywhere else to put it. For Monstera, I really want to get a variegated Peru, or a Spa Peru Variegata, and it's just so cool. And I've seen so many of them. This is a plant I have been like stalking since I got into houseplants like a minute and a half ago, you know what I mean? And it's just like, how come the only ones available are from countries that I don't live in? And how come the shipping time is like years and years and years? And how come How come no one in America sells them? How come I have to import them? And how come they're still so expensive when I import them? So I don't know. The last two on my list are different versions of variegated Monstera. I want a Alba. I want a beautiful yellow variegated Monstera. And I want also a minty Monstera. And I love them. And I want to own every single kind of variegated Monstera. I really do think that like variegated Monstera are one of my favorite types of plants. And I just think it's because I love Monstera deliciosa. If I could pick one plant to have in my house for the rest of my life, it would be probably like a normal Monstera deliciosa. And my dream is to have one growing up the side of my house someday. So the idea of owning different varieties of this same plant that I love is, I think, why I'm so keen on Monstera deliciosa variegata and the Borsigiana and the Alba and the Mint and the Oceania and all the different kinds. Like I'm gonna catch them all. You know what I mean? Someone should make Pokemon, but plant collecting video game. Who's gonna make it? I don't know how to code. That wraps it up for Monstera, but I do have a bonus plant, and this is not the end of my list. There is a lot more, as you can see by the time bar. Homolomena Rubescens variegata. Ah! Ooh, how does that exist? The pink and the white and the cream and the green with the pillowy leaf. It's like a variegated Plowmania. Who would not love this? I know. You're freaking me out. I feel like I'm gonna knock you off and be canceled. I'm gonna move you. This is the second new leaf, by the way. Which isn't on my wish list this year. Somehow it's just sitting next to me. All right, now we are going to talk about begonias. The first one on my list is Begonia oh my gosh, I cannot even. Pseudodryadis, and the reason I like this begonia is because it looks like it was made in space. That's my answer. It looks like it was made in space. The next one is Begonia Rockii, and I love it because it looks holographic. I guess it looks iridescent. It looks really beautiful and iridescent, and it almost looks like it has like a nice flat leaf with just a couple cute little hairs right there. And it looks green normally, but then like if you shine a special light on it, it looks even cooler than the Begonia Pavonia. It's like the upgraded version of Pavonia. The next begonia on our list is Begonia Red Chlorocticta, and this was probably, I think, my very first wish list begonia. She's beautiful, she's wonderful, and heart-shaped leaves, photo of it just looks amazing. And one you've seen in all the photos ever of Red Chlorocticta is basically hers. The next begonia on our list is Begonia nahengensis, and it's the cooler version of the Melanopoda and the Ferrex. It's like way cooler. It's like purple and brown, and it looks like the back of a dinosaur, and that's why I like it. Next begonia on my list is Begonia Kingiana, and this begonia looks like a leopard, and I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Leopards were my favorite animal growing up. I pointed it out because I saw it at Botanicas. I love Botanicas. They had a ton of them in the tanks, and they're beautiful, and I will own one someday. And the last begonia on my list is Begonia Darth Malichisticta, which is the Darth Vadariana with the little dots on it, and it's beautiful. And I've only seen one in person, and it was again at Botanicas, and I just love begonias, and you should like begonias too. Can 2021 please be the year of the begonia? Can we make them cool again? We're moving on to our last category, which is orchids, and this is probably honestly my favorite, but I have to put it last on this list because not all you guys like orchids, and if I opened with orchids, no one would watch this video. But do not be mistaken, because these are really my top wish list plants for 2021. Obviously the Spiritus Sancti, obviously the Billitai, obviously the Wendlingeri, and the Clemensorium, right? But these orchids are what I'm going to own no matter what in 2021. Number one, and most of these are Barbosella orchids, so just get that. Just get over it, okay? I'm a tiny foliage lady. So the first one is Barbosella Orbicularis. This is the most amazing orchid I've ever seen in my life. It's literally like a tiny shingling Hoya. Maybe I just like a lot of tiny orchids because they just really are honestly Hoyas. But this is amazing. I saw it at Orchid Dynasty. I need one. He couldn't sell me one because it was his only one. The next orchid is Barbosella australis again. Tiny orchid. Tiny, beautiful orchid. You're going to see a trend here. I love them all so much. They sunstress like purple and red and green, and they just are so adorable. The next orchid is Barbosella Dusenii. Dusenii, again, I have a clear taste in orchids. I feel like you're bored of Barbosella, so even though I am in love with this, we will move on to Lepenthes Nummularia. Is probably the coolest Lepenthes I've ever seen in my life. Or Lepenthes I've ever seen in my life. I currently have 2 Lepenthes right now, which I got from that plant friend, and she's amazing, and she always has fun little Lepenthes for me. But this is one that I would really like, and it's really because I feel like it's kind of on a different level than the other ones. It's got a different vibe, it's got a different feel. I like the colors way more, and it's still close enough to what I really like, Lepenthes, but it's different enough that it's super interesting. And the last orchid on my list is Pleurotkallis Melanopoda, which, what is that? It has spikes. It has little risen pharynx spikes on an orchid. On a Pleurotkallis. Pleurotkallis, Lepenthes, and Barbosella, by the way, are my 3 favorite genus genre. And then also I like Restrepia a lot. There's no Restrepia on this list though, because those are like 15 bucks and you could just. But I love the Melanopoda because it looks like an woohoo! If you didn't know I had one, now you know. It looks like an alien. It looks like an alien. It looks like everything I love with Begonia nahangensis, but with a little bit of spice. And it's an orchid and it flowers and it looks cool. And it's a Pleurotkallis, and I'm a hoe for that genus. You know what, guys? We did it. We got through all of them. There's a lot of other plants I could have on this list. This wish list, I really tried to make it something that would be hard for me to accomplish, specifically because I made a 2021 wish list like a month ago, and then I got all the plants on it. Ah, hi. My camera overheated and now I'm here. Basically what I'm trying to say is that I want to make this wish list pretty hard for me to get the plants on it so that I don't get all the plants in a month, like what happened like 2 months ago. So to make it more of a challenge, you know what I mean? But thank you so much for watching this 2021 houseplant wish list. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and tweet me at PlantMeAshley. Follow me on Instagram at PlantMeAshley. I have merch. Check out my membership thing if it's there. It probably isn't right now, but like it will be. So hey, become a member. It's super fun. It's $4.99 a month, and it's a great time. I will see you guys in the next houseplant section. Goodbye.